inviting you to join me for The Tonight Show of Radio every Saturday night, 9 to 11 Pacific Standard Time on CRN Digital Talk Radio. Now in our 24th year and well over 19,000 guests, The Ron Sedgy Show live originates from our Universal Radio studios. Celebrities from TV, music, movies, literature, politics, and show business, at one time or another, they all come to The Ron Sedgy Show. So why don't you?
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a six-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Thank you, Mike Horn, and welcome to the Royal Oakes Show, the fastest-moving hour in radio. And let's recognize our co-host, Ken Jeffries. How you doing, Ken?
Fine.
It's been a couple of weeks since I've seen you. We did a
Who
show.
are you again?
Yeah, we did a show together a couple of weeks ago, but I was remote, and so it's good to see you. I know you've been off to New York.
I was going to say about that part of your personality that you ought to fix that remote personality.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I'm a little bit remote.
It's silly.
So you were off in New York?
Yeah, I was in New York at my 50th high school reunion on Long Island, New York.
And you were saying that you had old Super 8 movies that you guys put together.
Yeah, well,
back,
we did.
Back in the day.
It was a 16 millimeter movie, and we actually. I'll give you the clip. We have a lot of stuff to get to today. I'll give you the clip. I won't bore you with this, but it was a movie called For Whom the Torch Burns, and it was from Division Avenue High School in Levittown, New York.
Yeah.
Long Island. I can't get rid of my accent. Every time I go back to New York, I come back with a New York accent. Here at our lovely Chatsworth, California studios.
I know, but it was so much fun to see.
Yeah, we
people.
did. We did this film, and it was about a plot to blow up the Statue of Liberty and tow it back to Moscow on a trawler.
Wow.
And
so you guys had quite an imagination.
Yeah, we couldn't. Of course, you can't do that today because 9/11 and security near the statue and all of that. And what happened was with the film, we were halfway done filming.
Right.
It was to raise money for our senior prom. We ended up raising, I think, $500 for our senior prom, which was a lot of money 50 years ago.
Sure.
So the movie was about halfway filmed, and it was on its way to the processor in those days.
Right.
Because we had we didn't have home camcorders then.
It was like the Zapruder film or something.
Well, to us it was just as historic, I think, as a matter of fact. Anyway, the film was stolen on its way to the processor.
No.
Yeah, somebody broke into a van in Brooklyn with the film. The film was in this van.
They knew you were going to be famous before long.
Yeah, they wanted to stop us from being famous, I guess. So what happened was the Motion Picture and Cameramen's Union in New York got wind of this, and they volunteered. They replaced the film.
Wow.
The fact that the film was stolen also it was an article in the New York Times that it was stolen.
Really?
And I think that the cameraman...
Slow news day, I'm guessing?
Yeah, for the New York Times.
Yeah.
So I think what happened was they saw that article and said, we'll donate the film so you can reshoot in New York, in Manhattan. So we had to go from Long Island into the city, as they call it, into Manhattan, and reshoot a bunch of these scenes at the Statue of Liberty, putting fake dynamite sticks at the base of the statue.
And what age were you at this time?
Well, we were 18, so 17, 18.
How cool.
And there was obviously no Homeland Security in those days. It was way before... It was, there was no security. We didn't need security, anything. We just filmed.
Reunions are so great. I've been to all 4 of my high school reunions, 10, 20, 30, 40, and it's just so great. Hey, if you are loyal watchers and listeners to the Royal Oakes Show, we have a missing person here. We have an empty chair. Mr. Connor Oakes, our millennial correspondent, is he available remotely by phone by any chance?
I sure am.
Oh, Connor, well, gosh, I know that I didn't want to blow your cover, but you are with the CIA, and I know you've been on an undercover thing. That's why you were busy.
I am in the field, yes, reporting in the field. I've got one of those giant sort of Desert Storm era telephones with a 6-foot-long antenna.
Gosh, it sounds pretty good. It's working. Well, hopefully...
Yeah, it's not very subtle, actually. It's blowing my cover, but it is cool looking. So it's
you're at an undisclosed location, right?
Yeah, hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, by the time we get back from this brief break, Connor Oakes will be in his chair. And when we get back, we're going to talk about everything in the news, but my favorite story, Hillary gets a Brazile-ian. I never thought I'd say that. Stay with us.
God.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oakes Show.
Beach Hotel.
traditional Hawaiian weddings and vow renewals to your own unique ceremony, find out why Ka'anapali Weddings is the perfect place to say, I do. Create the memory that will last a lifetime at the place you and your family know and love, Ka'anapali Beach Hotel. Imagine yourself and your loved one just steps away from world-famous Ka'anapali Beach in one of many wedding venues to choose from, including oceanside lawns, tropical gardens, or indoor banquet rooms. With your choice of catering, bar, floral, and musical options, you can make your special day customized just for you. Their wedding specialist will help you plan your dream wedding today. For more information, visit ka'anapaliweddings.com or call 661-0011. Ka'anapali Weddings, the perfect place to say, I do.
Ka'anapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
Show with our co-host, Mr. Ken Jeffries. And Ken, you're just gonna have to do your best here. Connor isn't here to help you out with the song, but I bet you can get
I
this.
can say I know who it sounds like.
Yeah, turn it up a little, Jose.
It sounds like.
It's actually a cover. I'll give you a clue. The gal who's singing it is covering it. The original is done by somebody else.
Okay,
but
I don't know.
This lady made it famous. You don't recognize it?
Oh wait.
British comedian, the Lucille Ball of England.
Tracy Ullman.
And I'm not talking about Bonita Hill. Tracy Ullman, exactly right. You got Tracy Ullman.
It was Tracy Ullman who sang
Tracy
that?
Ullman, yeah.
Oh my.
She had a top 5 song in England twice in the 80s. Really popular singer. You know the song, the name of the song?
No.
They Don't Know.
They don't know, or I don't know the name of the song.
They don't know. You didn't know, but you
know
knew.
who I thought it- I
you
thought
didn't
it-
have credit. You knew Tracy's name.
Well, you know what? It sounded like Leslie Gore. It's my party. And
Little bit.
And Lucy's
Yeah.
turn to.
Yeah.
I mean, Judy's turn to cry.
Yeah.
The answer record.
Little Peggy March.
Little Peggy March. I will follow him.
Exactly.
and,
She legally changed her name to Little Peggy March. Did you know that?
She was Big Peggy March before that. No, what was she before?
I don't know. I made that up. So, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait for our millennial correspondent, Connor Oakes, lots to talk about. And Ken Jeffries, to me, the big story of the week, there's so many big stories. You got Hillary's Brazile-ian, Donna Brazile, totally throwing her under the bus. You have the Berhgdahl decision, no jail time for the guy.
Right.
He was not a happy camper, or the president was not a happy camper about that. Welcome, Connor Oakes, our millennial correspondent. Better late than never.
You didn't start without me, did you?
We barely started.
You could say he's a guy who never phones it in.
So here's the deal.
could say that.
I think the big story of the week, the Paul Manafort and Gates indictments.
And
Papadopoulos, yeah. I mean, it's so strange. He kind of snuck in under the radar, and yet, Manafort, everybody's saying, well, what's it got to do with collusion with Russia? Maybe there's something there, maybe there isn't something there, but the real news may be this guy Papadopoulos, who was like a 29-year-old foreign policy advisor. I mean, you're not exactly, a young Henry Kissinger.
He graduated from college in 2009, and on his LinkedIn resume was the Model UN. Was,
Really?
I
didn't see that
part of his resume.
Yeah.
The guy, what's really important about him is the plea deal. The fact that he got that plea deal at the exact same time that Gates gets the indictment and Manafort gets the indictment. This is a message from Bob Mueller to everyone else involved that says, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. And you can come and talk to me and get that plea, that sweet, sweet plea that Papadopoulos got, or you can get every criminal charge in the book thrown at you.
And I bet, Ken Jeffries, you reported on this for KBC this week, the interesting angle that this guy didn't just plead guilty, he's called a proactive cooperator. We think that means he was wearing a wire.
Yeah,
and
that's a possibility.
Yeah, it went from 2 charges, 20 years for obstruction of justice plus 5 years for lying to the FBI, to just the 1 charge for 5 years. And so everybody's saying, this guy is getting a sweet deal, and he probably was wearing a wire, and all these guys in Washington are running around town wondering, did I talk to him? Was he recording me? And so on. So he could be much more central to this, ironically, than Manafort Manafort or Manafort's colleague, who apparently were making just tens of millions of dollars from the Russian government.
Yeah, and you can look at Trump's response too, and Trump says, "Look what Hillary did."
Yeah,
and you can. So who knows where this thing is going to go? And of course, just waiting for him now to fire Mueller, and he can fire everybody.
That's what's horrifying. I mean, talk about making millions of dollars. Manafort was making all that money despite being an either unpaid or effectively unpaid consultant campaign chair.
Yeah, actually, he
Trump.
agreed to be the head of the campaign for several months for no money.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like I'll just do that for free. I mean, are you selling influence? Are you selling... Are you paying because you're hugely in debt to Ukrainian or Russian interests?
Well, isn't it possible, though, that Manafort just did it because, hey, that's a pretty big deal to be running the presidential campaign for Donald Trump. I don't need the money, so I'll be like $1 a year
Isn't
guy.
it kind of suspicious that he offered to do it for free?
Yes.
It is weird, yeah. And you know the other
Possible,
thing.
but weird.
The other thing, Ken, there's this old saying, the whale only gets harpooned when he spouts. I have a feeling that Paul Manafort, if he hadn't spouted by becoming the head of the Trump campaign, nobody ever would have paid any attention to all of the stuff he was doing with the Russian oligarchs and the millions of dollars and the offshore companies and the not paying taxes and so on. You know that Robert Mueller and his 16 sharp lawyers who put all these guys under a microscope, they're the ones that uncovered this. It probably just would have gone unnoticed completely. So now the question is, you mentioned, of course, firing Mueller. People have been talking about that for months, and it's interesting. Trump and his lawyers are being very deferential and respectful to Mueller. They're not blasting them the way they, blast a Mexican judge or some plaintiff who sues Trump. And I think I just don't think they can get away with firing Robert Mueller. But what they may be thinking about is a pardon. Trump has the power to pardon anybody, and the law says you don't have to wait until they get convicted of a crime. You can have a preemptive pardon before they're convicted as to any topic. And so Trump could say, anybody related to this Russia investigation.
Unbelievable.
I just think that Trump might say that the investigation's biased. There's this bromance between Comey and Mueller. You got all these 16 lawyers who are giving all this money to Obama and to Hillary, and it's just not fair. Plus, he can point out the conflict. What about the conflict of interest between Manafort, who was embroiled in the whole uranium deal back in 2009 and 2010, and hushed that up to the benefit of Obama? I mean, it seems weird that Trump would consider going the pardon route or the firing of Mueller route, but he might just say, I'm willing to ride out the political fallout, even though it'll be severe, because the alternative might be, he might end up being impeached.
I mean, that sounds okay in theory as things heat up on any individual defendant, but as you pointed out with Manafort, the whale only gets harpooned, right? There will be more whales. You can't pardon everybody whack-a-mole style. I'm going to pardon Manafort. I'm going to pardon Gates. I'm going to pardon Papadopoulos.
Why can't he issue and pardon himself?
I'm going to pardon myself. I'm going to pardon.
No, why can't Trump? Can Donald Trump pardon himself? This was
another fun
It's a great question, and actually, some scholars have been weighing in on it. A funny thing over the last several months, and the consensus is that yes, he can pardon himself. Even though it strikes a lot of people as being inconsistent with the whole principle of pardons, to try to avoid abuse by the legal system, to try to give a measure of mercy, and the problem would be, it would be so transparent that his pure motivation for pardoning himself is just protect his ass and not really do justice and not protect himself or anybody else from abuses in the legal system.
Yeah.
Of course, the idea
is
still do it. He may say Mueller is abusive. Mueller is doing things that are unfair, and
he's flipping on my staffers, and they're telling the truth. Yeah. It's not fair.
And Sessions too. He could can Sessions, of course, and he could.
That may be next step.
I think he wants to can Sessions because
he
Trump sees that as the absolute nuclear core problem of his administration. The fact that Mueller was allowed in the tent. It's all because Sessions, he bailed out. He said, I'm recusing myself. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I promised you we're going to talk about Hillary's Brazile-ian, and when we come back, we will. Donna Brazile did a number on Hillary. Stay with us.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
You experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury? If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com, 310-873-4422.
When you really want Italian food, you've got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Seekers of luscious and appetizing gustatorial pursuits, indulge your fancies with steaks so absolutely yum-yum, vegetarians have forsaken kale and Pilates and never look back. Fish specialties so fresh and delicious and chosen by King Neptune himself, and relish Columbo's Italian family specialties so delectable you'll be yelling out, "Bravo, bravo!" And let's not forget Columbo's world-famous meatballs, and you've got to try their breakfast pizza. Oh, and jazz every night. Service that's friendly, not phoning, and at a price that'll keep you coming back. That's Columbo's, that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's, manja.
It has been said that everyone has a book in them. But do you have the time or the ability to write your book? Maybe you picked up some skills or had a life experience that you want to pass on in the form of a book to help others. Maybe you want to leave an autobiography for your family. Or maybe you've built a successful business and you want to share your story. At Dorrance Publishing Company, we have professional writers who can help turn your book idea into a finished manuscript quickly and affordably. A Dorrance ghostwriter can provide as much or as little help as you need to complete your book. You'll work directly with your ghostwriter to finish your book faster than you ever could on your own. It's easy to become a published author. Call Dorrance now to learn more. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. Call right now. That's 800-485-8803.
That sounds like something
Weird Al.
Yeah, Weird Al would say, exactly. Hey, welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries, our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes, and
Trump administration. Every indictment that comes down, another one
bites
bites
the
the
dust.
dust.
very good, very good. So you guys have guessed the name of the
Queen.
song.
I think it's Queen.
Queen. There you go. So you guys are on a roll.
But I prefer Weird Al's version better. Anyway.
Hey, a little later in the show, we're going to be talking, of course, about the Berhgdahl decision and no jail time. We're going to be talking about the New York City terror attacks. But as promised, I wanted to get into Hillary's Brazile-ian. So Donna Brazile was, for a while, the head of the Democratic National Committee, and she's written an interesting new book, apparently. And although it isn't really out, some crucial excerpts have been released. She says there was an unethical agreement signed between Hillary's 2016 presidential campaign and the Democratic National Committee to keep the party financially afloat. And I didn't realize this, but apparently they're saying that Obama, he just left the party with millions of dollars in debt after the 2012 election. He was paying the money off far too slowly for most Democrats. And so former chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she was just taking on water. Things were really in the red. So she approached the Clinton and the Sanders campaigns. And, well, one of them was a little better heeled than the other. Right. And so according to Donna Brazile, Hillary basically was able to rig the election. And I mean, were you guys kind of surprised that somebody who obviously obviously lifelong Democrat, works her way up to the point where she's running the Democratic National Committee, would kind of throw Hillary under the bus.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I don't know why she did it. Maybe to sell a book. That's the only thing I can think of.
Has something to do with it.
I don't know.
But doesn't that seem strange that she would be willing to basically make enemies of all of her pals from basically her entire adult life? I mean, she's been a political person for a long time.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know if you've heard this, but Washington can kind of be a cutthroat place where people are sort of out to get theirs.
I hadn't heard that. I heard
so
it was
a
like
new thing.
the Land of Oz,
Yeah,
or...
It's changing, it's getting worse and worse, seemingly by the day. But, I mean, when you think about it, everybody who's involved with the DNC, after Donald Trump beats you, when you have probably the most qualified candidate, though she had her own skeletons, in years and years to run for the presidency, your career's already over. Anybody involved in that is done. The DNC has to burn itself to the ground and start over from the ground up, because they are obviously such colossal failures at their job that they lost to Donald Trump that, I mean, these people's careers were meaningless. It's
do
okay.
you think the fact that she would be willing to go against the Clintons is a really solid sign that the Clintons really are history? I mean, I see Hillary out on the stump and in the book tour and so on, and I refuse to believe. I mean, I think she's like Freddy, in those monster movies.
She's going to run again?
They're going to burn her. They're going to shoot her. She's going to be lying in the street, and then she's going to stand up again. Yeah, exactly right. I think in her mind she's not done, but probably in Donna Brazile's mind she is done. Now, I thought it was interesting. Now, of course, Fox News was saying this, so you know that they have their own bias. But they pointed out that in the couple of days after the Donna Brazile story broke, not a single story on the nightly news on CBS, NBC, or ABC. You think maybe there was some media bias that went into that decision not to cover the story at all?
I mean, it's possible. People knew pretty much from the get-go. First of all, this agreement was reported on when it was signed way back. And then when it broke recently and became an issue because of Donna Brazile's, the leak of Donna Brazile's upcoming book, people quickly sort of turned to each other and said, well, didn't Bernie Sanders' campaign also sign a similar agreement, though he chose to raise money instead through smaller donations?
Well, he didn't have the ability to raise the kind of money that Hillary did.
But basically the DNC goes to both campaigns and says, we're here in debt. And when the Hillary campaign says, okay, well, we can pay off your debts. Did it trouble you, though? Does it seem like maybe it was a little bit rigged, like the control, the levers being pulled by Hillary and her people, everything had to go through Brooklyn? Was it really fair to Bernie Sanders? I mean, his people worked real hard and donated millions of dollars to give him a shot. Right.
And it doesn't seem like the Democratic National Committee really gave him a fair shot.
Well, he didn't give the Democratic Committee a fair shot. I mean, he's not a Democrat. So that's a problem.
That's true.
And
that's true.
Loyalty, too.
I'm not worried about fairness when it comes to the DNC. Yeah, did Bernie not get a fair shake? Probably not. But the DNC is not there to give Bernie a fair shake. Personally, I was a Bernie supporter. I would have voted for him over Clinton in a second. The question, though, is, isn't the DNC's job to put forth the most viable candidate? They thought that was Hillary. They were probably wrong, but they thought that was Hillary. There's a reason they have superdelegates to quash people like Bernie who are trying to come in and upset things.
Well, if nothing else, it gave Trump a little bit of relief to try to divert attention away from the indictments. We're going to talk about Bergdahl when we come back on the Royal Oak Show. Stay with us.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Hey Lorraine, do you realize that your mother, my mother-in-law, Chef Maria, has been serving Las Vegas since 1949?
Yes, I do, Dennis. That's when she first met Howard Hughes, who fell in love with her cooking.
And in 1955, she opened her first restaurant on Fremont Street.
Yes, dear. And another great customer was Liberace.
Wow. Then in 1962, while Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack were causing global excitement on the Las Vegas Strip, your family opened their second restaurant.
And in 1970, 1972, Elvis Presley began electrifying Las Vegas audiences and eating in our restaurants.
You know, Lorraine, this is quite a town. There's only one Las Vegas.
And there's only one Bootlegger Italian Bistro.
Folks, when you're in Las Vegas, come visit us. We'll make you feel like you're part of our family.
The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, conveniently located at 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard, South Strip. Visit our website at www.bootleggerlasvegas.com.
Come to Angelo's and Vinci's to see the memorabilia of movie stars and theatrical magic right in downtown Fullerton, California. See the art of the masters, an Italian town square complete with storefronts of old Italian butchers and cheesemongers, fruit and wine vendors, seamstresses showing their wares, fairy lights from cathedral ceilings, and our ancestors smiling down at you from the family love altar. The romance of Romeo and Juliet, and find the mystical Room of the Moon. And don't forget King Kong, Dracula, Frankenstein, and who knows what awaits you in the wine cellar. Enjoy the great food. We hand stuff our pastas, roll each and every tortellini, bake our own bread, make our own sauces fresh from our private stock of Sicilian family recipes. From pasta to seafood, chicken to award-winning pizzas, tiramisu flown in from Rome. If you can't find something on our menu to tempt you, you don't like Italian food. Try our Sunday brunch, just $18.95, and Angelo's and Vinci's has been named 2 years in a row Best Italian Restaurant in Orange County. Angelo's and Vinci's Restaurant at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Call 714-879-4022.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares, first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
It has been said that everyone has a book in them. But do you have the time or the ability to write your book? Maybe you picked up some skills or had a life experience that you want to pass on in the form of a book to help others. Maybe you want to leave an autobiography for your family. Or maybe you've built a successful business and you want to share your story. At Dorrance Publishing Company, we have professional writers who can help turn your book idea into a finished manuscript quickly and affordably. A Dorrance ghostwriter can provide as much or as little help as you need to complete your book. You'll work directly with your ghostwriter to finish your book faster than you ever could on your own. It's easy to become a published author. Call Dorrance now to learn more. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. Call right now. That's 800-485-8803.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host and Jeffries, our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. And guys, you're so good at guessing the bumper music. You're almost 100% today. How you doing on this one? Turn it up a little, Jose. Give him a shot. Can we come up with a guess? Oh yeah, fire away, Ken.
I know this because I played it on the air as a disc jockey.
Oh, so you have an unfair advantage.
Norman Greenbaum, Spirit in the Sky.
You got it!
Spirit in the Sky.
Ding, ding, ding!
Spirit in the Sky.
A little bit before your time,
yeah,
Connor.
And that was the only hit he ever had.
Yeah, he was a one-hit wonder, absolutely.
He was a half-a-hit wonder. And
so, before we get to Berhgdahl, actually a couple of things I wanted to do. First, a little house cleaning on the Brazile-ian by Hillary. First, I have to apologize. Many people have called in. They can't get the image out of their mind of Hillary getting a Brazile-ian. And so I'm sorry. I apologize for even bringing it up. But a fun fact to me was Robbie Mook, who was the campaign manager for Hillary. He was on some shows this week, and they were, of course, confronting him with the Donna Brazile thing. And you know what he said? He kept saying, I don't have time to talk about the past. I don't want to go back and think about that election. And I'm thinking to myself, well, let's see. Hillary wrote a book saying, what happened?
Yeah,
I believe the way she put it was, what happened?
Something like that, yeah.
What the F happened was the original working title of the book. You seem shocked, Ken Jeffries.
What the F happened?
Exactly. But Hillary wanted it, but the lawyers talked her out of it, okay?
I think it would have sold more.
Okay, I made that up.
It would have sold a lot,
Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was a little ironic that Robbie didn't want to look to the past when the whole damn book was looking to the past.
Yeah, and the fact that he is so irrelevant except for his involvement with this past campaign.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not like
true. He's
worried about
yesterday's
what are you
news
doing
for
next,
sure.
Mr.
You know what? The
Booth?
election was a year
Who
ago, and
cares?
we're still talking about it. Isn't it unbelievable?
So the other topic before we get to Bergdahl is we just got to have a little World Series discussion. I don't know how traumatic it was for you, Ken Jeffries. I know you're a big Dodger fan. You're all over social media talking about the Dodgers.
I got one thing to say about the Dodgers. Let's go Mets.
Yeah,
I'm a Mets fan too, but no, it was just unfortunately it was a bad, bad Game 7.
Yeah,
it was a shame because the other games were so amazing.
Yeah,
the
exciting,
comebacks and the key hits. I mean, down 2 outs, 2 strikes. Somebody would hit a double and they'd go into extra innings and so
on. A home run. It's like Oprah going, "You hit a home run, and you hit a home run, and you hit a home run."
Well, it fuels the suspicion that they're juicing the ball because 8 home runs in one World Series game, a record all time. I think there was a huge number of home runs generally in the season, and all they have to do is wind that ball a little tighter than usual and blam.
Yeah, the sabermetrics guys have pretty much got it nailed to the beginning of the 2015 season. There's not much of an argument that the ball didn't change at that point. And since then, there was an evolution in swings where players started to recognize that the ball was different and play differently as a result. They said, well, if we can hit a higher percentage of home runs, we've got to swing for the fences. We've got to hit those home runs. And that changed swing paths, and that changed whole plans. And now you've got a lot of guys on rosters who are important, crucial players on these rosters who kind of basically only produce home runs and doubles.
Well,
that's it.
And strikeouts.
And strikeouts.
At least the Dodgers finally climbed back into the Fall Classic. It had been 29 years, so that was really cool. The other angle here is just we follow, Connor and I follow the Angels as well, and I got a little headline here, and this is very exciting to me. I'll just hold it up for those of you watching on YouTube. Here we go. Angels Upton agree on deal. Now that is so great to me. For the Angels to get Kate Upton is just an amazing.
Just to keep abreast of what's going on.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, she's probably going to be like head cheerleader or something.
Cheerleader.
See, that was my reaction, but then I read the fine print. Apparently, there's a guy named Justin Upton that is going to join the Angels. I'm sure he'll be fine.
It's not a big deal.
All right, so Bergdahl, I think it really threw a curve to a lot of people that this guy got no jail time. Something like $1,000 a month for a year he's got to pay, and he said he was really sorry.
Right.
Was it a little stunning to you that a guy who had walked away, that he clearly left notes saying, "I'm out of here, I'm fired, I'm fed up with the Army"? Was it strange to you that this guy gets no time?
I think he should have gotten some prison time. I'm not sure how much. But he made really, I guess, a political statement in walking away from his post. That's desertion.
Absolutely.
It is desertion. And now you could say, well, and the judge said, what, you spent enough time under, as a prisoner of the Taliban, so that's your prison time right there.
So here's the letter that he wrote as he was walking out the door. He explaining his desertion. He says, "If you are a conceited, brown-nosing blank bag, you will be allowed to do whatever you want. You'll be handed your higher rank. The system is wrong. I'm ashamed to be an American. The U.S. Army is the army of liars, backstabbers, fools, and bullies."
That's what he said?
That's what he said.
And he ought to go to prison.
And thus exposing his guys to maiming, death, injury, trying to
how many guys? Did anyone die trying to find him? I don't remember that.
It was alleged that 6 people died, and I think the judge excluded that testimony. Apparently, he considered it unreliable. I think at the end of the day, what was reliable was that at least one guy took a bullet to the head, and he is now bedridden, and other people were injured to various degrees. But it's just a horrendous thing.
No, he deserved prison, and the other part, there was Trump, president, saying that he should have been executed.
Okay, so that's where I was going to go,
Ken.
Okay, this is what I've heard, and I don't know if you guys heard snippets of this, because I'm asking myself, this is some colonel in the Army. This is not a bleeding heart jury that went for some sympathy plea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he was tortured by the Taliban. This was a colonel in the whole judge, advocate, general, military justice system.
So the judge was a colonel.
Yeah, exactly. So here's what I hear happened. A week or two before the decision the defense makes a motion and they say, Judge, the President Trump, he's been condemning Mr. Berhgdahl and in the press, and he's tainted the whole case. You should dismiss the charges against him because of what the president said. And the judge's reaction was, no, I'm not dismissing the charges, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I will take into account as a mitigating factor the fact the president has been going after Berhgdahl in the press. And everybody, thinks, well, okay, you're going to take it into account. Well, that's what he did. He took it into account. I mean, I can't think of any other explanation.
So therefore, Berhgdahl, maybe Trump made it possible for Berhgdahl not to serve any prison time.
So
exactly.
Berhgdahl was the subject of season 2 of the very widely listened to podcast by Sarah Koenig called Serial. It was sort of a viral hit. And
right.
Bergdahl's hours and hours and hours of personal, humanizing interviews went out, and people listened to his side of the story and also other people's sides of the story. Absolutely. Some were vitriolically against Berhgdahl. But that may have tilted public opinion in such a way that the judge didn't feel like he was the bad guy anymore.
Interesting. I wasn't aware of that. I think it's also interesting, Connor, that you would actually plug a competing podcast to us. Thanks a lot. I mean,
Sarah, I want to be on your show. Sarah, can you hear me?
That's like
Sarah Koenig?
Seinfeld plugging Cosby. Stay with us on the Royal Oak Show. We're going to talk about the terror attacks.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Hi, friends. This is Larry Manetti. Go to LarryManetti.com to get my book, Aloha Magnum. You'll read all about the wonderful guest stars like Carol Burnett, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, and many, many more. There is an episode guide and my favorite recipes that I really cook at home. I will include a free signed photo with every book. Get Aloha Magnum at LarryManetti.com. Order now. Aloha.
When you really want Italian food, you've got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Seekers of luscious and appetizing gustatorial pursuits, indulge your fancies with steaks so absolutely yum-yum. Vegetarians have forsaken kale and Pilates and never look back. Fish specialties so fresh and delicious and chosen by King Neptune himself, and relish Columbo's Italian family specialties so delectable you'll be yelling out, bravo, bravo! And let's not forget Columbo's world-famous meatballs, and you've got to try their breakfast pizza. Oh, and jazz every night. Service that's friendly, not phoning, and at a price that'll keep you coming back. That's Columbo's, that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's, Manja.
Enjoy Tiki Live, the best cable alternative choice today, with hundreds of premium live TV programming, including ESPN, CNN, Fox News, Disney, AMC, Bravo, XF, OWN, and CRN Talk. Plus no contracts and low month-to-month service. Tiki Live, servicing North America, including the Caribbean. To get started, visit TikiLive.com to order hundreds of channels, including CRN Talk, at a fraction of what you're paying today. Visit TikiLive.com. That's TikiLive.com.
Where is the moment we need it the most? You kick up the leaves.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show, and Connor Oakes, our millennial correspondent. You might have an edge over our co-host Ken Jeffries in guessing this bumper music.
Yeah, I can't. I have no idea.
No, you don't know James Blunt's You Had a Bad Day?
Oh, man. Oh, him?
You had a bad day. Very good.
I've had enough bad days. Thank you.
Now, James Blunt, I had it as Daniel Powder.
Am I wrong?
Daniel Powder might be the actual author. Let's listen a little louder there, Jose. Daniel Powder? James Blunt? Can you figure it out? It's catchy either way.
You have to take a powder on it.
Yeah, whoever the author is. Well, I've got it down as Daniel
sure
Powder. But you got the name.
That was his alter ego, wasn't it? James Blunt?
Yeah, it's a pseudonym.
Yeah, that's
pen
it.
Name.
It's a
that's
great song. Okay, so a horrible event in New York. Gosh, when it first happened, I was watching Shepard Smith on Fox News, and he was just all over the idea that there's absolutely no evidence of terrorism. And at first there wasn't. And he didn't want to suggest knee-jerk that it was, but next thing you know, oh, yeah, I heard the guy say Allahu Akbar. Well, what does that mean? And then we find out the guy had been radicalized. I guess he was a lone wolf. He wasn't some overseas guy. He was just totally obsessed with the ISIS stuff, and that's what inspired the attack, apparently.
Yeah, he was also mentioning things in the hospital, if I remember, too, about ISIS. And ISIS did release a statement or something. Didn't they say he was a soldier with ISIS or something?
But I think they often claim that these things happen.
Yeah, we know this guy.
That's the ticket, right. So a couple of issues arose out of this tragic situation in New York that a lot of folks were talking about. One issue is the enemy combatant versus regular criminal defendant topic, and the other is the diversity lottery for immigrants. So on the first issue, it's interesting. Again, on Fox, I'm watching Andrew Napolitano, the former judge, the senior judicial analyst for Fox, and he's a big libertarian type, and he's so into the idea that we can't hold people indefinitely. If it were up to him, he'd blow up Gitmo, and he'd send everybody to a regular criminal defendant situation. And the idea is, the law says if you are an enemy combatant in war, in a declared war, then we can hold you indefinitely. We don't have to give you Miranda rights. We can do what we're doing to the Gitmo guys. They're down there for a decade, no trial. We keep squeezing them for information, and I assume we still think we can get more, or else we would say, okay, we're done with you, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. We're going to try you. We're going to throw you in the pit or whatever. But they still want the information. So Napolitano's point is, well, this new guy in New York, there's no war. We haven't declared war since Pearl Harbor, and therefore we can't call him an enemy combatant. But Lindsey Graham and others, I think, represent sort of the majority view, namely, okay, we haven't had a declared war since World War II. Well, guess what? Korea was a war. Vietnam was a war. Afghanistan and Iraq were wars. We do wars without declaration, including the war on terror, even though it isn't against a particular state. I mean, are people comfortable, you think, with holding people as enemy combatants indefinitely without the Miranda rights and so on because of the idea that this war on terror is just as real as the war in Vietnam?
Well, I think this is a very important test case to see what the court of public opinion has to say on this, because we've got a guy who is not, an Afghan or an Iraqi citizen who is...
certainly wasn't wearing a uniform of another nation.
Who was never fighting on a foreign battlefield and then brought back to Guantanamo. It's easy to define those people and say, oh, well, they're enemy combatants, even though there's no associated enemy state that we've declared against which we've declared war. This guy, imagine any given homegrown terrorist, say they're an American citizen, say they grew up in the very place they decided to turn their back on. Does that make them an enemy combatant just because they have committed an act of terror? Can you say that if somebody has committed a drug offense that they're an enemy combatant in the war on drugs? This opens a door wide to taking away the civil rights.
I'm actually okay with opening the door wide. I'm okay with calling him an enemy combatant. Ken, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, I get why you're coming from.
Was he a U.S. citizen?
I think that he came here under the diversity program.
Uzbekistan.
Yeah, exactly. He came under the lottery deal. And actually, it's a good question. I'm not sure. I think he was not a U.S. citizen, but I think he was here legally. Right.
Okay. Now, from Uzbekistan, we do not have, from what I recall in the post-event coverage, as it were. I almost said post-game coverage. I'm so conflating.
Focused on World Series, right?
The World Series, but. Of course, this is much more serious, but it just seems to me that it's a tough situation, and it's what do you do with this? It's
there is no easy answer. You don't want to trample on constitutional rights, and even though he's not a citizen, non-citizens do get constitutional rights, Miranda and so on.
So are we?
But I gotta say, I think the war issue resolves it for me, because I think we're in just as much of a war now as we were in World War II against terror.
I just want to say there was a point I forgot real quick,
sure.
Uzbekistan is not on the travel ban list.
Oh, that's right.
And that's what I heard on the air, and I'd forgotten about that. And I'm not sure if that means anything at all. But,
I mean, it points to the fact that combined with the fact that immediately after the event, Trump said, "We got to end this horrible diversity lottery program that I have been against forever." That he
Chuck Schumer's beauty, he called
pronounced diversary 3 times during the press conference as he read what appeared to be the longest word he'd ever seen on a piece of paper in front of him. Yes, he clearly had never heard of the program until 5 minutes before. But I just love that one day after this, he wants to end the completely unrelated diversity program, but months after the Vegas shooting, nothing on guns.
So when we come back, we are going to shift gears, and we're going to talk about a couple of famous people, because I think they were in the news in kind of a negative way. Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. Weinstein is now a verb in the language. Stay tuned on the Royal Oak Show. Stay with us.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show. CRN listeners, when you come to Southern California, stop by a great restaurant, the Dresden Restaurant at 1760 North Vermont Avenue in Hollywood. Enjoy great entertainment, like the music of the legendary Marty and Elaine at the world-famous Dresden Restaurant. The Dresden was the location for the making of the movie Swingers. Now you can swing with stars Marty and Elaine. Plus, enjoy great food, too, like French onion soup, artichoke hearts, and many other great appetizers. Seafood, there's salmon, shrimp scampi, New Zealand orange roughy, halibut, Lake Superior whitefish, and specialties like veal marsala, piccata, and parmigiana. Plus, we've got a great roast rack of lamb, chicken piccata, and cordon bleu, and pasta dishes, too. Steaks, filet, New York, Chateaubriand for 2. Much more, too, including pork chops, prime rib of beef, and an incredibly extra large cut of prime rib. It's the Dresden Restaurant, open for lunch Monday through Saturday and dinner Monday through Sunday. Check us out at 1760 North Vermont Avenue or call 323-665-4294.
Do you want to fly somewhere, anywhere in the world? Smart travelers call myflightsearch.com for the best deals on flight tickets. Going to Manila, Bangkok, London, how about Singapore? Call myflightsearch.com for the lowest flight tickets available. What about a local vacation? Let's say you want to fly to Vegas, Orlando, Miami, Los Angeles, or Denver. Pick up the phone and call myflightsearch.com right now. We have exclusive deals that you can't find anywhere else. The only way you can get these low airline prices is by calling us. We have so many low prices available, we can't possibly tell them to you right here and now. If you're flying somewhere anytime in the next 6 months and you want the lowest airline ticket prices anywhere, you owe it to yourself to save a ton of money. So pick up your cell phone and call myflightsearch.com right now.
Call 800-445-3166. 800-445-3166. That's 800-445-3166. Call now. 800-445-3166.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-785-9618. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-785-9618.
For decades, their music has been your concert connection. The Showroom at South Point presents Staying Alive, the world's #1 tribute to the Bee Gees. You'll be dancing in the aisles. November 10th to the 12th. Tickets at the box office. Online at southpointcasino.com or charged by phone. 702-797-8055. Staying Alive at the South Point. You'll be dancing.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host and Jeffrey's millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. You guys know this song, right? This is majorly famous. Yes, get it up a little, Jose. Give these guys a fair chance.
Sounds like a country and western.
I'm going to say 80s. No, 90s.
Probably the most other than Foo Fighters, the most interesting name for a group on the planet.
I know the song. The song I've heard. Yeah. The name is interesting.
The name of the group, Hootie and the Blowfish.
Oh yeah.
Darius Rucker and the song, I Only Want to Be With You.
Yeah. How did he get that? Who was Hootie and Hootie? Darius Rucker?
I don't know. Darius Rucker was the front man.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah, good question.
The same people that thought of Gladys Knight and the Pips many years ago. Like, what's a Pip?
So in a few minutes, folks, when we close out the show, we're going to award our first Moron of the Month award. We've been going through the weekly nominees, so I think we've got a good nominee. But first, it's amazing to me this Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey thing. It's like Bill Cosby. These guys are doing their thing for literally decades, and basically nothing happens. Maybe it's an open secret, but it certainly isn't open with the public. Maybe it's open within a particular industry, and then something happens, like the comedian that called Cosby a rapist, and then it's like it snowballs.
Ronan Farrow came forward.
That too, yeah. But I mean, with both Weinstein and Spacey, it's like the careers have just basically exploded. I mean, with Spacey, they say when he was running this London theater for years over there, everybody turned a blind eye to his allegations of sexual misconduct, and now it says his publicist says Kevin Spacey's taking the time necessary to seek evaluation and treatment. I mean, House of Cards.
It's PR lingo. It's all PR.
Of course. And Weinstein, apparently they've got rape allegations going in London, New York, and Los Angeles.
And New York cops said they're ready to arrest him.
Yeah, exactly right. And, I mean, man, you talk about an explosion of suits.
Yeah.
I remember in the 90s when Clarence Thomas was accused at his Supreme Court hearing by Anita Hill of sexual harassment. I mean, it was a tsunami of lawsuits.
But then nothing happened.
Nothing happened to him.
No, nothing happened regarding the sexual harassment movement. It was a blip and then nothing. And it was
it was more than a blip. I mean, it was several years where you saw a spike in harassment. I remember because our law firm represented employers.
So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong with that. But then it kind of went away from the public.
It's relative, though. You're right. It wasn't a permanent elevation of interest and awareness and volume of suits.
And clearly, the offenders did not take notice or change their behavior because it clearly continues as an endemic problem.
I mean, Clarence Thomas is still on the Supreme Court, and whatever. It's it doesn't seem to have changed much.
Well, but I gotta think that at this point in history or our sociological situation, I gotta think that there is going to be a permanent change in terms of women being willing to come forward. Now, it doesn't mean that every woman that comes forward is telling the truth, because frankly, it's pretty easy to make stuff up. It's a he said, she said deal, and you don't always have corroborating evidence, and you can automatically get like a half a year or a year's salary in settlement. But I think we're going to see more suits for years.
And the actress who accused Harvey Weinstein in New York was kind of known as kind of a nutcase. So although the police say it's very credible, it's a credible case. So we'll see. Also, one more thing: next year's Oscars should be very interesting.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, this sort of thing might make a real permanent change in the way that accusers who come forward and say this happened for years and years and years, it might actually make a change in their willingness to come forward. But the most important thing is to somehow make a change for the people who need to come forward after the first incident. Somebody who says, this was an improper approach, and this guy stepped over the line. That has to happen on day one, or else people are going to keep doing it.
No, absolutely. Well, we talked so much about this. Next week, you're going to find out who the moron of the month is on the Royal Oak Show. Ken Jeffries, Connor Oakes, thank you for the fantastic job. We'll see you next week on the Royal Oak Show. Have a great week.
Because that was your theme. Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio show sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear, high-definition digital sound? Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio's 6 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear all of your favorite hosts like you've never heard them before in CRN HD. The difference is amazing. Catch your favorite political hosts like Dennis Prager, Tom Hartman, Barry Farber, and so many more. Entertainment and lifestyle programming like The Robert Conrad Show, The What's Cooking Show, and The What's Cooking on Wine Show, all in true CRN HD audio. Sports, business, travel, food, wine, politics, there is something for everyone, and it's all available in CRN High Definition Sound. Log on to www.CRN Talk for listings and information on all your favorite shows. That's www.crntalk.com.
The radio channels. The radio channels. CRN.
It's time now for the polka party. This is Dick Sinclair. Welcome to the program, and away we go.